Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our English video in Level 2B Elementary School. Today's lesson is about the grammar lesson, superlative adjective. Okay, so here are the lesson's objectives. By the end of the lesson, you guys will be able to first tell the forms of superlative adjective correctly through reading. Second, complete the text correct using correct form of superlative adjective. And the last one, you guys will be able to complete sentences of opposite superlative adjective. Okay, without further delays, let's begin. Okay, here we learned in our previous video talking about the comparative adjective. So, for the forms of the one-syllable comparative adjective is the adjective plus eors. For example, tall become to taller when we change it to comparative adjective. Okay, for two syllables adding in y, we change y to iers. For example, the word happy. Happy, we change y to iers, become happier. For two syllables adjectives that's not adding in y, we have to add the word more in front of the adjective. So more plus adjective. We have the word famous and then more famous. Okay. And for the three or more syllables adjective, we have to add the words more plus adjective. Okay. For example, beautiful. Beautiful have three syllables, so when we want to change it to comparative adjective, we just add the words more. So more beautiful. Okay. And there are some irregular adjectives that you might notice. The word little, when we change it to comparative adjective, it becomes less. Much or many becomes more. Good become better. Bad become worse. And far become further. So it is what you have to remember for the irregular adjective. Okay. So now let's get started with our today's lesson. Okay, so everyone, by seeing the three pictures, I hope you guys might get some ideas. What is the difference between these three? Okay, the differences between these three is the first one is elephant, this one is the pig, and this one is the dog. Okay, so this one is big. Yes, the dog is big, but the pig is bigger than the dog. So if we want to compare between these two animals, we say the dog is smaller than the pig, or the pig is bigger than the dog. So we use comparative adjective when we want to compare between two things. But if we want to compare between these three things, what kind of grammars that we should use? Okay. So once again, if you want to compare between these two things, pig and the dog, we use comparative adjective. We can say the pig is bigger than the dog. But if we want to compare between these three things, we want to say that, yes, biggest. Elephant is the biggest among these three animals. Elephant is the biggest. Okay, so the word biggest is in, yes, superlative adjective. It is what our lesson about. Superlative adjective. So when you want to say that this one, we can see that the elephant is very, very big than the pig and the dog. So you might not say the elephant is bigger than the pig and the dog, but you have to say the elephant is the biggest, meaning that among the three animals, elephant is the biggest. Okay. Now let's move on to the forms of superlative adjective. Here is the form of superlative adjective. So we have one syllable, two syllables adding in y, two syllables not adding in y, and three or more syllables. For one syllable, that we want to change to superlative adjective, we have to use the word the plus adjective plus est. And these the examples are the word all. All is the one syllable adjective, so we have to put the word the plus all and plus est, sorry, and then the oldest, it becomes the oldest. Okay, here extra example, cheap become the cheapest. So now please move on to the two syllables adjectives that ending in y. So we change y to iest, and the example is the word happy that end with letter y. So we change y to I and add est. So it becomes the happiest. Okay, the word lucky. Lucky and is also and the in y, so we change y to eyes. It becomes the luckiest. Okay, for two syllables adjective that not end in y, we just put the word the plus most and plus adjective. For example, the word famous, it becomes the most famous. Okay, it's the word polite, it becomes the most polite. Okay, so three or more syllables adjective, so we have to put the word the plus most and plus adjective, and we have the word beautiful. So beautiful, when it becomes to superlative adjective, is the most beautiful. The same thing as the word expensive, when it becomes to superlative adjective, we have to put the word the and most, and then it becomes the most expensive. Okay, and here is the irregular adjective that you have to remember it. One it change to comparative and one it change to superlative adjective. Okay, the word good, as we remember in the previous video, it become better in comparative adjective, and in the superlative it will be the best. Okay, good, better, the best. The word bad in comparative it's worse, superlatives the worst, and literals comparative less and superlative least. Okay, many in comparative it's become worse, and in superlative it becomes most. Everyone, so please take a look at the three pictures. The boys and the girls holding number 1, number 2, and number 3. So upon these irregular adjectives that we have learned, so what can we say about them? What sentence can we use to talk about these pictures? Okay, everyone, we can say yes. Number 1 is the best. So you guys, as a student, you might want to get number 1. So if you get number 1, you are the best among your classmates. Okay, so we can say number 1 is the best. The word the best is the is from the original adjective of the word good. So when we want to say that number 1 is the best among these three numbers, we have to say number 1 is the best. Okay, so now let's move on to the next. There's the practice for our today lessons. So what I want you to do now is to look at the adjective in the list. We have 4 adjectives, so I want you guys to change it to superlative adjective. Okay, so number 1 have been done for you, the word big, it becomes the biggest. Okay, and number 2, the word popular, it becomes, yes, the most popular. Next word, busy, becomes, yeah, the busiest. The word busy adding in y, so when we change to superlative, we have to change y to I and add est. Okay, the last word, the word good, is an irregular adjective, so it becomes just the best. Okay, so we have done our first practice. Here's what we have to do in the next practice, talking about the biggest market, Camden's market. So here's the text that you have to read and use the word in the bracket to complete in the sentence. Now please scan through the text together. Camden Market. The biggest and the most popular market in London takes place every day in Camden, but it is busiest and the best at the weekends. Camden is famous all over the world for its fashions, artists, clubs, and music, but it affords its market and it is the street market in the UK. More than 400,000 people come from our weekends to look, shop, eat, and meet friends. There's music everywhere. The street food is delicious, and it is the what in North London. In every part of the market, you find something interesting. It has clothes, beautiful jewelry, music, and tattoo shops. The electric balloon is the nightclub in Camden. You can hear the rock bands before it became famous. There are hundreds of clubs, but Proud is one of the what? Camden's market fox. So after scan through the tag together, now let's spend time to complete the sentences with the words in the brackets. So we have the word famous, large, cheap, amazing, old, glad, and cold. So the words famous, when we change it to comparative, when we change it to superlative, it becomes the most famous. Okay, large become the largest. Okay, and next, the cheapest. Amazing becomes just the most amazing. The word old becomes the oldest, the word late becomes the latest, and the last word cool becomes just the coolest. Okay. And in this one, what you have to do is to complete the sentences. The first thing you have to do is to find the opposite word to this adjective and then change it to superlative adjective to complete in the sentence. Okay, number one has been done for use as the examples. The music here is too loud. Can we go somewhere the quiet test? Okay. Number two, the 10th train is too slow. Is the 11th one such trains? Yes, the first 10 ones. Number three, you late. Why weren't you here? Yes, the first test. Number four, this flat is too far from home, the town center. Sorry, from the town center. We need somewhere. Yes, the nearest. Number five, 5 minutes is too short for brains. We need, yes, the longest one. Number six, the exercise too easy. Can we do something? Yes, the hardest. Okay, so now let's move on to the next. What you have to do here is to tick the correct sentence. So number one, number two, number three, and number four. Number one, yesterday was more hot than today. And yesterday was hotter than today. So which one is the correct sentence? Was more hot and was hotter than. So the correct sentence is number two. The second one, was hotter. The word hotter is in comparative adjective, though. In here we use the word hotter. So in here it's like your review between comparative and superlative. Okay, so number two, yes, the first one, she is taller than her brother. Number three, I am the most young or the youngest in the class. So the correct answer, the word young is only one syllable adjective. So when we change it to superlative, we add the word the and est. So the second one is the correct answer. Number four, the exercise is the most difficult in the book or is the most. The exercise is most difficult or the most difficult. So the correct answer is the second one. the most difficult. Okay. Next word, underline the correct answers. We have 4 sentences as well, and we have the option A and B, A, B, C. So the first one, I am taller than my brother, or the tallest my brothers. So again, when we want to compare between two things, we have to use, yes, comparative adjective. So we choose, yes, is comparative adjective, taller than. So in here you compare I means you and your brother. So if you compare between the two things, you have to use comparative adjective. Number 2, she is student in her class. So in this sentence, is there any comparison between two people or two things? No, right? So she is the one who is the younger than, or the younger than, or the youngest. So we use superlative. So we choose the youngest student in her class. Number 3, the dog is older than the cat, older than the cat. So in here we compare between the dog and the cat. So we compare, when we compare two animals like this, we use comparative. So between A and B, which one is the comparative? The correct one is, yes, older than. The dog is older than the cat. And the last one, the red jacket is the blue jacket. So in here we compare between two things again, the red and the blue jacket. So where is the comparative adjective? We have the more is no, because it's in superlative. So we have A and B, expensive than and more expensive than. No, the word expensive have 3 syllables. So when we change it to comparative, we have to use the word more. Okay, so the correct answer is B. The red jacket is more expensive than the blue jacket. And now let's move to the homework. So what you have to do is to fill in the blank using the comparative or superlative for adjectives. We have 10 sentences, so we have the adjective in the bracket. So what you have to do is just to think in the sentence what whether comparative or superlative should be used in this sentence, and then change this adjective to superlative or comparative that you have chosen to complete in this blank. Okay, everyone, thank you for watching this video and good luck.